I know my colleague Chamberlain already did ask you whether or not you were surprised about the headlines. Could this recession have been avoided?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Because what is causing this recession are things beyond our control.
Are we in a recession?
I think we are, because we have had a decrease, in growth for the past 2 quarters. So we're in a recession, and you can even feel it yourself. I mean, I saw you this morning talking about Alvan Ikoku. Why would students go and destroy the school where they are? It's because there's inbuilt anger. What is building that anger? What is building that anger is poverty and lack. Because most of them, their parents have not been paid for the past 3 months. So if you just light a small match, everything will explode. So back to what I'm saying. What happened to us are beyond our control. In 2000, well, when I say it's beyond our control, is, they say that the right time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next right time is today. In 2014, oil was selling at $116 a barrel. And we were all having a ball. The big men were flying private jets all over the place. The women were buying very expensive handbags and shoes. We were all going on holidays in every part of the world, burning the money that was flowing from oil. Nobody realized that Pharaoh had a dream, and Joseph interpreted it, and they prepared for the 7 lean years that was going to come. So in 2014, we were having a lot of money. Everybody was having a ball. There were no savings. There was no putting aside. There was no investment in infrastructure. We spent money on infrastructure, but that's not investment. Investment is when you put down money and it's going to yield future dividend. When you just spend money, give people money, and they do shoddy jobs, that is spending money on infrastructure. So when we had the money, we did not prepare for the rainy day. Then oil prices fell, and there was nothing to fall back on. And it is still falling. Now, in May, oil prices rose slightly.
How is that out of our control?
How is it out of our control, Maokwe? Well, savings was...
you talked about...
No, savings was what we would have all done, but we didn't do it. So when we didn't do it and prices of commodities fell, it caught us unawares. So question was, is there something we could have done to prevent this? In the past, yes. But if we didn't do it, it's not something you would have done in the last 2-3 years. No. We would have been prepared for this eventuality. Even today, I'm worried. Are we preparing? All of us, the government, the individuals, the citizens, are we preparing? Are we now beginning to cut our consumption patterns according to the economic realities on ground?
I think that's why Chamberlain asked if we're doing the right things now, because if we go with that Chinese saying that if you missed out 20 years ago planting the tree, the best time is now. The now, which is now, are we putting in place the right things that will make us not to get into a worse scenario or a repeat of what we're going through at the moment?
I still think we're still at the policy level.
How long
I have not seen the practical, I've not seen the practical implementation of actions that will take us out of the woods.
This will lead to another aspect which has to do with the president and his team. If we have gone over 1 year and we're counting, leading us to the 2nd year of this administration, if experts like yourself are still saying that we're still at a policy level, do you think that it's about time that the president takes a second look at his team and see where he can actually rejig and touch up?
It's not for me to say. Okay. I will not talk about the president's cabinet.
The comments coming through from CBN, because many would have thought, oh, well, if the CBN is saying some of these things, it means that we really are in bad shape. But there are lots Well, a couple of people, they say to me sometimes, look, well, they live in the country or want to do a thing or two, and I ask myself, wait a minute, because I've not taken time out to check if that feeling, it's the same with a lot of people. But in terms of us investing in this country and then putting those policies, you say you haven't seen practical things done about the economy. Do you really think that people are moving monies out of this country to invest elsewhere?
Yeah, I would think that there is a lot of capital flight out of the country.
I mean, those who ordinarily would have invested here comfortably.
Yeah, people who would have invested here comfortably are moving their monies abroad. And there are several reasons for this. One is fear.
What are they afraid of?
Insecurity. The future of the country. Because there is so much anger in everybody. You wonder what is causing the anger and the divisiveness. And people are beginning to get worried that you don't know what small spark that will generate an inferno. So most of the elite are thinking of tomorrow and says, what is going to happen? Suppose there's a conflagration. And that doesn't help, because what now happens is that these people, instead of investing here, will go abroad. Instead of building a house in Abuja, you go and buy a house in London, or you go and buy a house in Houston, or you go and buy a house in Washington, D.C. That's money going out of this country.
And then the other part of it, when the CBN was speaking, while he enumerated some of those stuff, the challenges we face, many would have just given a simple answer. Take, for instance, Forex demand for payment of school fees. He says that is also huge. It's a burden on us here. And then people tell you, so why can't they go to school here? But the thing is, it's infrastructure as well.
Is infrastructure, is the instability in the school system. I mean, we are lucky we haven't been having incessant ASU strikes in the last 2 years, but the reason why most people send their children abroad was you spend 6 years doing a 4-year program in Nigeria, whereas you can spend 3 years doing a 4-year program abroad, So those are some of the reasons. The other ones were the quality of the education people were getting.
And about this quality, because on this program, I think we've spoken about it several times, wherein several ministers of education have come and gone. And we never saw one of them say, look, let's sit back and find out. Because I know there's been several reports about how much Nigerians are spending in, let's say, even Ghana here, or Benin Republic. And we ask ourselves, can't any of those ministers look, what is the issue? How do we get them back here? How do we address those points? We never saw any deliberate policy about that. So, to some extent, can we say we brought this upon ourselves?
Chamberlain, did any of those ministers, did any of their children go to university in Nigeria? I mean, if they had university age children. At the beginning of this republic, in 1999, the governor of Imo State then, Chief Achiku Denwa, all his children went to school in Nigeria. One of his girls went to Imo State University. The other one of his children went to Futo. Today, all those children are doing very well. But is there any governor today that has his child in a Nigerian university? I don't know. I've not carried out that statistic. So
you're talking about the public investors, public owned.
Whether it is public or private, is there any governor in Nigeria today that has his child in a Nigerian university? I haven't carried out that research, so I don't know. If we, the elite, cannot send our children to school here, then who will go to school here?
But the children come back to this country and they want to put them in top positions to come and preside over the ones who are here who are angry. So how do they expect to move forward?
Well, we will have to go back to having a system of merit take charge of everything. I think we're getting a lot of things very complicated. Look at what is happening with university education. I mean, university admission right now. JAMB says it is their prerogative. I was reading somewhere, somebody was asking a question that, why is JAMB insisting that universities should not conduct post-UTME? The parents who spend the money are not complaining. The parents who will buy the form for UTME are not complaining. The universities want to make sure that the people they admit are actually people who are qualified. Somebody was asking a question to say, listen, some parents drive their children, I mean, mercenaries to exam centers to write JAMB for their children, and they will score high marks. So if somebody like that scores high mark that is written by somebody else, it's at the post-UTME that you'll be able to know whether the person who has high marks actually got it or a mercenary wrote the exam for him. And JAMB is saying, no, we're the one who should say who gets into university. In the US, if you pass your student aptitude test, you apply to the university, they evaluate you, and then they decide whether to admit you or not. The university should be given a chance to evaluate the people who want to come to those schools. So point I'm making is, let everything be merit driven. Let everything be system driven. Let everything be process driven. People should be less powerful and let processes work.